All right, welcome back to episode 2 of eBay LS2 build. Today I'm planning on taking the heads off. These will be getting sent off to Getty's Performance Engines here in Colorado Springs. They're going to get ported. New springs upgraded for the Brian Tooley cam that's going to be going in this. And we'll be upgrading the trunnions in the stock rocker arms. And keeping in mind trying to keep it semi-low budget build was kind of my idea, because this engine came mostly complete with the majority of the accessories minus the alternator, the power steering, reservoir, and I'll need an AC compressor because I'm going to be putting vintage air AC on this, so I'll need to upgrade the bracketry a little bit. So trying to use as much of the original engine components as possible to build around a 500 horsepower build is what I'm going for. This is a true LS2 aluminum block engine. You could do this with an LQ4 or an LQ9 for probably quite a bit cheaper, but kind of the advantage to this engine was that it had some of the accessories on it. I wanted the lighter weight aluminum block, and it already has the better 243 LS1, LS6 style heads on it, versus if you buy an LQ4 or LQ9, it's probably going to have 706, the less desirable cylinder heads, lower compression, and you can pick these 243 or 799 heads up for pretty cheap off of any junkyard or eBay or whatever. So today we're just going to be focusing on taking these rockers off. So I'm going to be taking these rocker arms off. I bought a 1 16th inch socket because this already has an ARP bolt in the front of it there. So basically when you take these off, you want to rotate them to where there's not a load on the spring, especially since this is aluminum. You could strip out the threads pretty easily as you take these off. The head bolts, there is a sequence for putting them on. For taking them off, I don't think it matters quite as much. There's two sizes. There's a smaller 10 millimeter bolt on the front half, and then the rest of them are just 13 millimeter bolts. I think they're 13 millimeter, but so we'll pull all those off today. I actually remembered to bring my phone stand today so I can actually kind of record what I'm doing as I'm doing it. All right, once you got all these rocker arms loosened up, they should just lift out. The whole tray should lift out just like that. Pretty easy. So if you're going to do a performance cam upgrade, it's important to upgrade these trunnions, this little rocker piece in the middle here, because you can see that they only allow so much rocker movement. So if you're running a high lift cam, something above 600 thousandths inches of lift, you might want to, well, you need to upgrade these trunnions, because it will actually force these and they can break. And these are a high fail item anyway, so it's just a good idea to upgrade these. So I learned if you're going to use your handy electric torque wrench to take these off, it's better to break them loose first. Of course, you probably noticed I'm not using actual impact gun sockets, but you know, shade tree mechanic. And these are snap-on. If I break them, they can replace them for free. Just don't tell them to use an impact gun. So I got all but the center one out right now. I left the center one in just so it'll be a little bit, something holding it in place as I take this last bolt out. It's broke loose. So just need to take this last bolt out and try to keep this from falling over. Process. And I might even put one in there just to hold it. So GM in all their infinite wisdom decided to go with torque to yield bolts. So if you ever take your cylinder heads off your LS, these are one-time use. Don't risk reusing these because they stretch to fit and you could end up snapping one off. So I'm not going to stud this engine because it's not going to be boosted, but I will upgrade it to ARP hardware, which is, I believe they're not torque to yield, so it'll be reusable if I get the ARP bolts and they're a little better quality. I trust them a little bit more. All right, so let's pop this cylinder head off and see what we're looking at. All right, so there's the bottom side. Yeah, there's a little bit of carbon in there, but it doesn't look terribly bad. But again, these heads are gonna get replaced with some ported heads. Pistons don't look too bad. Normal carbon buildup for a higher mileage engine. I don't have the best lighting in here to really see everything, but so far I'm not seeing anything that's looking like it's gonna need a piston change or anything. These are the lifter trays, so these are gonna get replaced. Anytime you have the heads off, you should replace these. They're cheap insurance, and this will be getting the LS7 lifter upgrade too. We'll talk about that more as I get those pulled out. I don't think these have probably been changed before, so it's also cheap insurance just to upgrade the lifters. They're about $220 to $250 depending on where you buy them from. I bought a set of Delphi LS7 lifters from Brian Tooley Racing to go in here. So basically rinse and repeat on the other side. I've already pulled out all of the head bolts other than this one. And this gasket's broke loose. A couple of these bolts were sketchy taking out, and I worried with an aluminum block that it could strip out the threads, but it seems to have come off okay. Same thing. That's what we're looking at for the bottom side of that one. All right, we got the both the cylinder heads off now. Try to blow any dust or dirt that blew in there. It's kind of hard because I'm working out of a storage unit. I don't have my air compressor. That'll do the best I can to clean it up. Yeah, get the valley cover off too. So next thing we'll do, we'll take the lifters out and see what those look like. Eventually I got to get this off. This harmonic balancer is going to be kind of a pain. Hopefully I can get it off with the impact gun. If I can't, I'm going to have to find a way to hold the crank and break that nut loose, which could be interesting. So next thing we'll do, we'll take the lifters out. So these lifters just have one bolt per 4 lifters there, so you just got to take that out first. Pretty simple. These are in fact the original lifters. I'll show you the difference here in a minute what the LS7 lifters look like, but these have a high failure rate, and then you can see one of the lifters didn't come out with the lifter tray, so these get loose over time, wear out, can cause the lifter to rotate inside of this plastic tray and cause catastrophic damage to your cam. So if you're doing a cam swap, unfortunately you have to take the heads off to get to these, but it's not a bad idea to change these out if it's a higher mileage engine. It's just, like I said, cheap insurance to save your new engine that you're putting probably a good amount of money into. So where I'd left off with this last time, I had got the cylinder heads off, and really the next step was going to be to take off this harmonic balancer. So this is not a factory harmonic balancer. I'm not sure what brand this is, but it's a little bit different than the factory one that could be pulled off with a 3-jar puller. This is more traditional, like a small block Chevy or big block Chevy, where it has 3 bolt holes that can attach with a regular style harmonic balancer puller. And what I ran into is I didn't have the right bolts for the one that I had, so I went and rented one from AutoZone, and that one also didn't have long enough bolts, and then I couldn't find any bolts anywhere at Lowe's or Home Depot or online that are 10 millimeter bolts with 1 thread per millimeter, I think is what it is. So I ended up having to take the tool from AutoZone and grind down part of it. So I think it'll work now. Obviously I won't be able to take this back now, so I guess I own it. It was like 25 bucks. This already had the upgraded ARP bolt in it, so I was able to get that out with my impact gun. If you have the factory bolt, they're not reusable, so this is I think $35, so at least this already had it, so now I don't have to buy that, and it's got this nice harmonic balancer on it. So we'll see if we can get this off now, hopefully without damaging anything, because I get a little impatient sometimes with this stuff. So we'll see if I can pull this off now. Thankfully that did work, and I managed to not strip anything out in the process. That can be a little bit stressful taking those things off. So hardest probably thing of that whole process of disassembly. So I'm going to take this timing cover off and see what we got going on down there. 2 bolts underneath with the oil pan, and then just these 10 millimeter bolts around the outside. I'll take that off. Will it come off is the question. Wish I had a screwdriver. Still pretty impressed with how clean this engine is for having 120,000 miles on it. I did get a new timing chain. It does feel a little bit loose. gears look good. I'm not going to replace the actual gears just to make this a little simpler. The oil pump, I'm going to reuse the oil pump too. Oil pump comes off, there's 4 bolts there and 2 on the pickup down there. I think my goal today is to take the cam out, just to see what that looks like. This I'm going to take on the plane. The fact that this had an aftermarket harmonic balancer makes me wonder if maybe this had a cam change already. So I'm going to pull this cam out and see what we're dealing with. I got an attachment stuck in the crank from the harmonic balancer puller. I got to get my magnet to pull that out, so I'll use my impact gun to take these 3 bolts out because I can't really hold the crank. Those are loose. Those are out. Put gloves in. Sprockets out. And let's see. Using a extension off of a 1/2-inch drive ratchet kind of makes taking this cam out. I gotta take this cam retention plate out first, but. This cam retention plate is a good idea to change when you have the cam out, because this little gasket in there, you can see, goes flat, and if you don't replace it, you could get internal oil leakage between these 2 oil ports here, and it could cause you a loss of oil pressure, so it's important to change that out. It's about 20 bucks. Pull our cam out. No kidding, this already has, I can't tell if this is a factory cam or not, but I'll have to look that number up later to see what this actually is. This might already have an aftermarket cam in it. Looks pretty good though. The Bearing races, they got show a little bit of signs of wear, but not too bad. I don't see any of the cam lobes that are really worn down or anything, so it should be good to just pop the new cam back in there. I'm not going to change the cam bearings out if I can help it.